I'm potting on a few flower seedlings now. These are Asters. Now these are a great end of season plant. These are for cutting. So I'll grow these on and we'll cut them for fresh flowers for the house. So it's just a case of dipping them out, using my perfect dibber, my finger, dipping a hole, poking it in. Nothing too complicated or difficult. Now these are a great end of summer into autumn cutting plant. When a lot of other stuff have died off, for instance things like sweet peas, these take over, and I particularly like them because they tend to coincide with the best of the dahlias late season. So you can have lovely vases of dahlias and asters, and there's so many blooming varieties of asters. Everyone's going to find one they really love. Just superb plants, really are. So that's it. I mean, that's how easy it is to pot plants on, and some people make such a song and dance about it. Oh, I can't do that. There we go, so there's one variety done already. So there's that. I'll just keep like this until these are all done, which will be about a minute or so. Won't take me long. If they come up like this, just very carefully loosen the soil off. You've sieved the soil in the first place, so it's nice and loose, and these seedlings will come away beautifully. Just get them in. I mean, even tiny little things like that, they'll grow. As long as they've got a bit of root on them, they'll go. I'm potting on some tomatoes now. This variety is one called Ildi, and it's a little cherry type tomato. It's plum in shape, it's yellow in colour. You get 4 or 5 trusses on a plant, and the beauty of this one, although this is my first year growing it, this is what I've seen other gardeners doing with it, is that towards the end of the season, if you've got unripe fruits on a truss, you can actually cut the whole truss off and hang that truss in a garage or a shed somewhere for quite a substantial amount of time. Now the fruits would normally drop if you did that with many tomato plants, but not so with the Ildi. So I'm giving it a go this year. I have tried the tomatoes last year. Quite tangy, nice and sweet, but a good tomato flavour. These are a little leggy. I'm not really concerned about that right now, because these are only going on into small pots for a little while, into these little cell trays. The reason I'm putting them into cell trays is I don't want to put a young plant with that much root on, little tiny bit of root, into a 3-inch pot with all that compost and all that moisture in there. Plant's likely to drown. At the very least, it's not going to like it very much, and it'll sulk for a while, and it will check it, possibly stop it growing for a little while it finds its feet. I don't like doing that to my plants. I want to keep them growing, keep them going. Now the next time I pot these on, it'll probably be into a 3-inch pot, but only when the roots have filled these modules. I do like to keep my plants moving. It's just my way. Doesn't make it the right way, it's just my way. I think for the sake of just potting them on a little bit like this, it's of no consequence really. So that's it, tomato Ildi. I expect I'll be potting these on again in 10 days, 2 weeks. We'll go into 3-inch pots possibly, and then after that I'll keep them moving until I've planted out. Eventually most of these will end up, the ones I keep anyway, will end up in 5-6 inch pots before they're eventually potted out. And as usual, my tomatoes, they're about somewhere between 3 to 4 foot tall with fruit on when I'm planting them out. So I just keep them moving, keep them going, and they respond to that. So again, it's just a method that works for me. Right, sieving compost. Why does it matter? Well, this is quite a good open compost, but there are some lumps and bits of twig in there, and just by quickly running it through a sieve, a quick breakdown, that's the rubbish you're removing. Now, it's not necessarily rubbish, I'll show you that in a minute, but I've got a truck there where all my sievings go into, all the rough stuff, and I keep that and I'll line the bottom of, for instance, my dahlia pots for drainage, so it gets used. If that didn't happen, I would chuck it on the garden in the compost, keep the compost a bit more. So it gets used at some stage. Right, I've just done it with quite a big mesh there because I'm potting on seedlings today with this stuff, but with seed compost you really want the grain of your compost to be matching the size of your seed. There's no good putting a seed which is that sort of a grain into that, because what's going to happen is the seed's just going to fall through it. Now if it does start to germinate in that lumpy stuff, the chances are that there'll be an air pocket in between those big lumps. Once that root of that seed gets out into that air pocket, it's going to dry out, it's got no moisture around it, it's freshly emerged, it's like a newborn baby, and it's a newborn seed. But if it's got no moisture around it, it'll dry out and die, and your germination rates will be altered. And you might get 2 or 3 coming up out of your seedlings, and you'll be thinking, oh, they're rubbish seeds. It generally isn't. It's generally down to something that the gardener's done. So if you think about these things, and if you put a fine seed into that, once it germinates, it's got lovely soil to go straight into, and it's going to grow away lovely. Now, as I say, it doesn't have to be so fine today. That's a coarse mix, because all I'm doing is potting on little seedlings. But you see, it doesn't take long for me to riddle that. It's no big chore or big deal. There we go. That's ready now to prick out seedlings into. So that's what I'll be doing with that next. But there's just a quick sum up for you as to why we sieve compost. So it doesn't take a great deal of time. All it takes is just a little bit of care and attention for you to do it. That would be fine now for sowing seeds in. I would, peas or something. But there you go, just a quick guide, as I say. And there we go, there's my truck with all my rough sievings. They'll go in the bottoms of pots of bigger potted on plants. So there we go. Might even use them on my tatties and my tatty pots down the allotments, but they'll get used somewhere.